Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special episode of Trek Cannon. So today, I'm out here, man, in sunny Jamaica, as you can see, and I'm trying to enjoy myself until I realized it was Thursday, and the ultimate enjoyment was watching the new episode of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, Season 1, Episode 8, The Elysium Kingdom. Now, Elysium means blissful, peaceful, kind of like paradise. All right. So I first wanted to talk about this episode and really get it out there because, like I said, I really like this episode. So let's begin this by telling the story of one of the greatest storybook stories ever told, and that is The Princess's Bride. No, it's not what we're doing. Oh, okay. I thought we was talking about storybook, outstanding storybook stories. All right, okay. So we're not gonna be talking about The Princess's Bride because I forgot I'm Trek Cannon. So let's talk about the episode Masks from from the Next Generation. No, but they had the stuff that was changed. They had changed on the ship, but the ship was still the same. Not masks. Oh, okay. I got you. So today we are going to talk about what happened that time when Q sent everybody back to the Robin Hood story, and talk about how that happened. No, really? They all get okay. All right. Fine. The Elysium Kingdom. Now, the reason I talked about those particular things prior was because this episode was kind of done in the vein of those movies and episodes. And as the episode, well, let me get to, spoilers, of course, but let me get to the synopsis, what's going on in the episode. In this episode, we open up with Dr. Mbenga giving the star date, all right? And he's trying to figure out, of course, how to help his daughter. Now, who he keeps in the transporter buffer because she has some kind of space leukemia. Now, I love that this episode focused on him and his daughter because I was wondering what they were going to end up doing with his daughter because it seemed like some episodes they forget about her and then some episodes she's brought into it and actually as a focus. So I was wondering how they was going to conclude her story, if she was going to get well or anything like that. And from the episode prior to the last one, I thought I was going to get a good hint as to the doctor assist, that other doctor that was going to assist Dr. Mbenga with some of his research in helping his daughter. Now, the thing is, in this episode, what happens is they're stuck in this nebula. And again, the story is told from Dr. Mbenga's perspective. They don't know they're stuck in this nebula. They're just doing all the investigating everything that Starfleet personnel do. As they go to leave the nebula, they find out that they can't form a stable warp bubble, so they can't use warp engines. And when they try to engage impulse engines, it rocks the ship. But basically, they're stuck. They don't know why. Now, when this happens, everything on the ship changes. The people change. They go into old, you know, old storyline type, fairy tale costumes, everything like that. Now, this episode has some of the. This episode was hilarious. Let me just get that. It was hilarious. Some of the standouts in this episode. Let's talk about Pike. Pike switching to that really cowardly type character. Oh, he played that to the T. I bet Anson Mount had the greatest time with this character. And guys, did you see the hairstyle? Did you see the hairstyle? He was rocking it. Now, another one of the standouts was Lieutenant Nguyen Singh. She was all right with me, man. Then when she broke out into song at that table, oh, she played the princess. Look. Basically, everybody on the ship, and especially the bridge crew, played some character of the story that Dr. Mbenga normally reads to his daughter. Now, the only two people that's not affected so far is Dr. Mbenga and the chief engineer, all right? And what ends up happening is, though, that although they're not affected, they are still playing roles. So the engineer is playing like the sorceress dude, and Dr. Mbenga is, of course, the king of the kingdom. Now, let's talk about Uhura. Let's talk about Uhura. because the costume that they had her in, how can I say this? She was about to bust out. She was about to bust out that costume because it was a lot going on in the top part of that costume right there. And I'm gonna have to say that I was trying to pay a lot of attention to what she was saying, but I was really thinking that maybe a button or a zipper or something was gonna fly off, and I couldn't wait. But anyway, getting back to the episode. Another one of the standout characters was what was her name? The pilot. Okay, she was awesome. She was the king's personal guard. We even had a appearance by Una as she would be the lone thief in a forest somewhere. She was probably playing like the Robin Hood type character. But in all of this, what's going on is that they're trying to find this stone. All right. And the stone in the book was supposed to be of this, like this great weapon, this like great power or something like that. Now, in going through this story, I was thinking to myself, man, please, please, please don't introduce a Q into the scenario. Please, please. And although they could have and still stuck to canon, right? I, that would have been kind of lazy, and I'm glad that they didn't do that. Just so you guys know, there are many beings in Trek that could do that same thing. There are many entities that could change reality in that way and change personalities in that way as well. So me thinking it was a Q, that kind of showed the limitation of my brain writing. But this new track, it messes with me. So, who was it? Ethan Peck, Spock. Look, let's talk about Spock. My girl seen Spock and was like, "Oh yeah, Spock could get some. Spock could get some." Spock was rocking the long hair, man. I like that whole character that he had was pretty cool. So in the storybook, while Dr. Mbinga is trying to find his stone, is trying to figure out what's going on. Of course, there is drama in the storybook. Two kingdoms fighting each other. Uhura is the queen of the opposing team of the kingdom. Now, the thing is that during the investigations and the shenanigans and all of the happy, happy, joy, joy, and funny laughs and stuff that ends up happening, in the book, the daughter wanted to have a different ending. And Mbenga was basically like, hey, well, when you get older, you can write your own ending. All right? It doesn't have to always be the ending that's in his book. Now, which was a choice of either or, to let the Sorcerer's Stone go or give it to the opposing kingdom. Now, what ends up happening is we find out that this nebula was basically some type of spontaneous consciousness. And I forget what they referred to it as. But if you think about it, that is so Star Trek. You know what I mean? And we've seen similar situations like this throughout Star Trek. Think about that episode in Voyager, where it was that nebula monster being thing that was basically changing people's perspectives of it to make it seem like it was welcoming and you should go there, and it ends up eating you. So, and it had it was the Captain Ahab Voyager episode. But there are things in Trek that would justify an entity like that, like several things. So that was very Trek. And then to have it to whereas, all right, this thing is lonely, it's probed our ship, it's found this girl stuck in a buffer being lonely too. So are they thinking of that, are they basing the transporters and being in a buffer basically off of the way Barclay was in that one episode where you're still conscious and able to think and process information while being in a buffer? And that, like I said in my video about transporters, would be that would be just brutal. That would be beyond jail, to not have a corporeal form and just exist consciously in nothingness. You know what I mean? That's brutal. So anyway, we find out that the stone in this story is his daughter, and that the story isn't being projected by this entity through Dr. Mbinga, but through the loneliness connection that this being shared with his daughter. So the daughter is actually the base of this change. So they end up finding it, and again, Anson Mount, man, that dude cracks me up, man. Total 180 of his character, right? But he ends up betraying the king, man, and more shenanigans break loose. But the turn that the episode takes, once they are inside Dr. Mbinga's quarters, goes from humorous to just heartfelt, like truly heartfelt. Like I had to actually hold back tears, actual being a dad, So again, I always try to put myself in the situations of the characters in these particular stories of these episodes. And the choice that Dr. Mbinga had at first was, all right, I can sacrifice the crew to whereas they have to be stuck in this forever change, all right, that this entity has brought upon the ship just to pacify my daughter. And now that now that we're in this nebula, she's healed and all of that. Or I can take my daughter away from this nebula with the crew, right? And my daughter ends up having this sickness again and eventually dies. Now, that is the thing that he's wrestling with in this particular part of the episode. And I liked the out, but I didn't like the out. And let me explain that. The entity basically ends up speaking through the chief engineer. And it's like, hey, I'm lonely. I found her being lonely. Our loneliness matched. And, you know, this is basically what it is. And so Dr. Mbenga is basically like, hey, man, there's got to be another way. It's got to be another choice. And so what the entity proposes is basically a turn his daughter into consciousness and let her exist inside in tandem with this nebula's consciousness and never worry about death or anything like that. Now, Dr. Mbenga talks to his daughter in a very mature way. He gives her the choice. He didn't just be like, nah, man, but he gave her the choice. And I like the conversation that they had. And when she chose to go, you could see both the joy and the sorrow in his eyes because he is, although his daughter is going to live, he is losing her still. You know what I mean? So they end up leaving and she ends up getting absorbed into the nebula. And the thing is that maybe 5-10 seconds later, she reappears, but as an adult, and proceeds to let her know that time flows differently for her and that she has written the ends of so many stories and, just all of this, so that was so touching. And she tells him, hey, you know what? My dream for you is to be happy, and they end up going, man, and she says bye to him and says that she'll see him again, and that just pulled on my dad's strings right there. That pulled on my dad's strings hard, because I don't know about that. For people with kids, what would you do? I know it's a form of selfishness to be like, hey, well, I want my daughter to be with me even though she will die, or I will let my daughter go with an entity that I know nothing about, right? In the hopes of my daughter being taken care of, protected, and living a long life. Matter of fact, a long life of immortality, most likely. All right. So that was a very, very, very hard decision that he made. Now, they end up leaving the nebula, being free from the nebula, and everybody's memories come back, and all of the fantastical things that had appeared on the ship had left. Now, I wanted to talk about one other thing. Nurse Chapel being like this medicine woman, man, and them trying to equate magic and science, you know what I mean? And the statement that science is better than magic and the use of abracadabra. Oh, let me tell you something. Chief engineer, man, he got all into that role, man. He was all, and I'm going to send you, man, to the place of la, la, la. Go hit the site-to-site transporter. Now, that being said, site-to-site transportation was something that was developed in the next generation. But for some strange reason, in the prequels, we have site-to-site teleportation. And I'm going to have to really think about that because I don't know if they retconned site-to-site transportation back to before these times to where it was before Kirk's era. But Kirk never did site-to-site transportation and all that kind of stuff. Also, like they retconned holographic communications to exist in Discovery days. So I'm gonna have to kind of go on it and see if they retconned site-to-site transportation to always exist in, or something that is indigenous to that time period. So overall, man, this episode was great. It had the humor, it had the science, still even in the fantastical universe, and it had the heart. As always, man, Star Trek Strange New Worlds is kicking butt. I really, really dig it. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys liked about the episode, and if I missed anything. What did you guys like about Anson Mount? Man, I see his hair as his own character, whether it's, gumbified or if it got the little curls in it. Man, Anson Mount's hair is his own character. I'm gonna name it First Officer Hair. Oh, that's so corny. That's so corny. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And as always, peace, recycle, and say the whales. You guys be cool. I think I'm gonna go finish hanging out in Jamaica. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.